Part 16. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 151. Seeing the messy Changelshan, even if Jing Yuan's temper was good enough, he couldn't hold back any longer. What have you done? And, is this, Miss Haida? Saw another star god envoy. Jing Yuan's expression changed slightly. About Black Tower's visit to Luofu Immortal Boat. General Yunkai also got the news, but he didn't expect that the other party would appear in Changelshan. He accidentally let him see this bad scene. Walter Yang was the first to speak. That's it, General Jing Yuan, we were playing in Changelshan just now, and then suddenly we found that Miss Tingyun assigned by Tianbo Division had been replaced. In the end, we were surprised to find that the person pretending to be Miss Tingyun was actually a certain Lord of Extermination. Walter Yang told Jing Yuan everything that happened just now. There is no hidden thought. Although the two of them are far apart. However, after using the power of destiny, the sound can still be transmitted over a long distance. Lord of Extermination. Jing Yuan groaned. Since the outbreak of the Star Core disaster, he has been wary of abundant evil creatures, Star Core hunters, and the secrets of the Medicine King. But despite all calculations, I still didn't expect that the great Lord of Extermination would actually appear on the Luofu Immortal Boat. Jing Yuan couldn't believe it. But the meteorite just now was indeed the work of Lord Annihilation. Even if Jing Yuan doesn't believe it, he still has to believe it. While General Yunkai was chatting with Walter Yang, Haida flew to Bo Chang's side. She looked at him up and down, as if trying to spot flowers. Holding the cyber-flying sword with one hand. Bo Chang, who was just paused in mid-air, was a little embarrassed and said, "Miss Haida, why are you staring at me? I should have done nothing to feel sorry for you." When Jitsi contacted Haida, Ba Kang and others were still taking risks in the ferry boat, and due to communication difficulties, there was no news that the Black Tower was coming. "Didn't you tell Heimko that you wanted to use my doll for experiments? That's why I came." "Oh, so that's what happened." Bo Chang breathed a sigh of relief. He turned to let the cyber-flying sword be parallel to the ground, while he climbed up and stood on the sword. After changing the position, Bo Chang asked, "Did Miss Haida agree?" "No." After Haida finished answering, she continued to look at Bo Chang. Not only that, she also looked around in circles. Just like when he first met Bai Lu. Bo Changzin said bluntly, "You don't agree? Then why are you here?" "I don't agree with you studying me, but I want to study you. Isn't this difficult to understand?" Haida touched his chin and stared at him with strange eyes. Chapter 186. The Noble Horse. Bo Chang slowly typed out a question mark. Looking at the Black Tower in front of him, he didn't know what to say for a moment. Apparently, this girl with long brown hair, or the brown-haired doll Loli, had no intention of letting him go. A black tower suspended in the air. He stretched out his cold hand and tapped Bo Chang's chest. After being hit by a fake cloudburst and hurting someone, there was a big hole in Bo Chang's clothes on his chest, and there was also a hole of the same size behind him. So, Haida's little hand directly touched Bo Chang's pectoralis major. Her green-white fingertips gently slid across the skin. Although the opponent looks like a doll, the touch of his hands is similar to that of an ordinary person, not like a doll at all. It seems to be very realistic indeed. But now is not the time to think about that. "Miss Haida, please be normal, I'm afraid." After Bo Chang finished speaking, he stroked the ball with his foot, causing the cyber-flying sword to take a step back and avoid the opponent's small hand. Haida was about to say something, but unfortunately he was interrupted by General Jing Yuan. "I didn't expect that the Lord of Extermination would actually be eyeing the Luofu Immortal Boat. It seems that her target must be Jian Mu." After thinking for a moment, the man known as the general with closed eyes guessed Huan's thoughts. This is not difficult to guess. Such a large building has been revived. Jing Yuan didn't believe it when he said that the Lord of Extermination didn't come for it. After all, as a blessing from the fertility star god, the ancient Jianmu tree is a rare treasure in itself. The original Xianzhou people relied on building wood to transform their race genes, become an immortal species. There are quite a few people who want to take away the ancient Jianmu tree, but they can't defeat the immortal boat alliance. So I didn't take action. Walter Yang nodded and agreed, it would be great to be able to guess the purpose of the Lord of Extermination. Well, in short, you did a good job on this matter. We, the Immortal Boat Alliance, owe the train crew a favor. General Jing Yuan's eyes swept across the train crew. He just stayed on Dan Heng's body for a few more seconds, with an expression of reminiscence. The cold-faced Xiao Qinglong calmly looked away. He had no intention of looking at Jing Yuan. March Qi, who flew over on the giant dragon Bailu, noticed something keenly. She murmured in her heart, the two of them, why do I feel a little strange? Jing Yuan sighed again. It's a pity that Changleshan has suffered heavy losses. Compared to the last time Bo Chang fought against the sword. This time the pioneering team fought against the Lord of Extermination. The destructive power is much greater. As far as the eye can see, there are all collapsed houses and injured Xianzhou people. There were even people there in just a few minutes. He was killed in the aftermath of the battle. The crew of the Star Dome train cannot be blamed for the catastrophe. Jing Yuan knew this. If Ba Kang and others hadn't discovered the traces of the Great Lord of Extermination, I'm afraid that General Yunkai will still be kept in the dark and unaware of the seriousness of the matter. Underestimating the enemy's strength is a taboo in the art of war. Not only can Jing Yuan not blame them, he also has to thank them. Otherwise, God knows what unpredictable things will happen in the future. We are already trying to avoid the impact of the fighting on the outside world. Walter Young replied. And indeed it is. If Walter Yang and the giant dragon Bailu hadn't stabilized the battlefield, Changleshan would definitely be far more miserable than what we see now. I know this too. General Jing Yuan nodded. The enemy is an envoy after all. Even if the fighting time is short, destroying the entire Changleshan is completely fine. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, stand up bravely, use the power of the horse charm to restore this place to its original state, and say, General Jing Yuan, leave Changleshan to me. Completion reward, mental power increased by 100%. Option 2, stay silent and act as if nothing happened, completion reward, obtain random props, ranging from matches to Star Destroyer's note, such props will. Option 3, take the opportunity to claim credit and say, General Jing Yuan, we defeated the Great Lord of Extinction. Do you think we should, completion reward, obtain the mysterious reward from General Jing Yuan? Love option suddenly popped up. A flash of surprise flashed in Bo Chang's eyes. He didn't expect that the system actually wanted him to use the power of the horse talisman to repair Changleshan. This is a big project. Next I took another look at options 2 and 3. Bo Chang thought to himself, if I hadn't drawn the power of the horse talisman just now, I'm afraid I wouldn't have encountered option 1 now. At that time, there will only be 2 and 3 to choose from. You can directly refuse any invitation to take credit. Bo Chang didn't need anything from the Immortal Boat Alliance at all. After all, Bo Chang took out 1 or 2 props on his body, and they could be sold for a high price. For example, the banana peel will 100% fall after being stepped on. Bo Chang felt that Haida would be interested. The random props in option 2 can be ignored directly when the mental power is increased by 100%. Just think about it in your mind. Bo Chang decided on option 1. Although I feel that doing the repair work will be very tiring. But now that the rewards have been given, It's not impossible for Bo Chang to be a hard-working worker for a while. It will also allow him to become familiar with the power of the horse talisman. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 152. And this is also a kind of atonement. If it weren't for Bo Chang, Changalshan would never have suffered this disaster. The people of Xianzhou suffered for no reason. General Jingyuan, leave Chang Leshan to me. Bo Chang said so. This sentence surprised Jingyuan. You. Bo Chang, how do you want to deal with it? General Jingyuan looked at the other party in surprise. Now. Following March 7th and others, they flew over on the giant dragon Bailu. Everyone is already very close. The distance between them is only a few dozen meters. After hearing their conversation, several people looked at each other without saying a word. March 7th, Dan Heng and others were all curious about what Bo Chang was up to. I can bring this place back to its original state. Bo Chang, standing on the cyber flying sword, looked at General Yunkai quietly. A noble horse can dispel all external forces in the body. The specific performance is to cure all diseases and repair items. Compared with the power of the horse talisman, the white lotus with tongue-splitting lotus is simply dregs. Fortunately, the magic power of the white lotus and the dragon talisman is now fused, forming a fire lotus. This makes tongue blossom lotus an irreplaceable skill here in Bakang. The power of fire lotus is no weaker than dragon explosion. The two sides just have different specialization directions and attack distances. Restore the status quo. Jingyuan's brain was a little down, and he didn't understand what the other person was saying for a while. Bo Chang smiled and said, General Jingyuan will find out later. Okay, then you give it a try. Jingyuan did not refuse. Seeing this, Bo Chang jumped down and found that his master was missing, and the cyber flying sword immediately chased after him. This is its automatic protection function. Bo Chang had seen this before when he fought against fake Ting Yun. Chapter 187, The Evil Dragon hugs his face and kills him. Bo Chang's eyes narrowed slightly as his body fell rapidly. A strong wind whipped around him. There was a buzzing sound in the ears. Especially Bo Chang's windbreaker floated upward, looking a bit like a parachute. This scene did not last long. Bo Chang caught the cyber flying sword that flew down from the side. Then, Bo Chang's body was pulled by the cyber flying sword and changed its position. He put his head down and quickly moved towards the ground. It feels a bit like Superman flying. The only difference is that Bo Chang does not hold a fist with one hand, but holds the hilt of the cyber flying sword with one hand. Just a few seconds. Bo Chang came to the ground. At this time, the cyber flying sword slowed down again and took him upwards. Arrive at the scheduled location. Bo Chang jumped down. He landed on a ruins, raising a cloud of dust, and the cyber flying sword automatically returned to its sheath. About exposing the power of horse charms. Bo Chang also hesitated when the option was opened. But the current situation was caused by him. If Bo Chang didn't stand up, he would feel embarrassed. After all, it was not that he was powerless, but he did have a way to further reduce the losses. What's more, the rewards given by the system are also good. Bo Chang took a deep breath and slowly mobilized the magic power of the horse talisman in his body. Feeling that the time was almost up, he immediately squatted down. A slap on the ruins. In an instant, the dazzling white light centered on Bo Chang's palm and spread in all directions. Wherever he passed, accompanied by rumbling sounds, the collapsed buildings stood up again, and the broken earth reunited. Changalshan is like going back in time. This scene looks extremely weird. General Jingyuan, who was suspended high in the sky, was a little dazed. March Chi, Zilawa, and others even widened their eyes in surprise. When using the power of the horse charm, Bo Chang's whole body was glowing with white light, solemn and majestic, and combined with the scene around him that seemed like a step back in time, even if he was said to be a certain star god descending to Earth, some people would probably believe it. Walter Yang could see clearly that it was not just the landforms and buildings of Changelshan that were restored by white light. Even the seriously injured and dying Xianzhou people. They were all pulled back by Bo Chang. One of them was hit by meteorite fragments and his lower body was lost, but after the white light swept across, the lower body that had disappeared actually grew back. And this scene is where the white light sweeps. Not uncommon. Even Jing Yuan took a breath and said, "This power. It's amazing, isn't it? In fact, I came to Luofu Immortal Boat this time just for him." Haida put her hands on her hips, and her heart was getting more and more restless. The heart that wants to study the other person. It's almost jumping out of my chest. Jing Yuan spread his hands and said, "Now even if someone tells me that he is the reincarnation of a certain fallen heavenly lord or Siming, I won't be surprised. This is also a research direction." Haida nodded thoughtfully. Jing Yuan glanced at her and originally didn't want to say anything, but in the end he couldn't help but speak. "Miss Haida, please don't go too far with him. I think Bo Chang seems a bit repulsive." "General Jing Yuan, don't worry, I have my own sense of discretion," Haida said nonchalantly. Seeing this, Jing Yuan didn't say anything more. Everyone just watched Bo Chang's performance silently. The white light spread very quickly, and it took only a dozen seconds. The area that was most severely damaged by the battle was completely repaired by Bo Chang. Including the immortal boat people along the way, as long as they still had a breath, they were all rescued by him, from the gates of hell. Farther away, Bo Chang really had no choice. He could sense that his body and mind were almost at their limit, consuming a large amount of the magic power of the horse spell. It made Bo Chang feel very sleepy, and he had the urge to fall asleep. "What do you mean, why hasn't the system prompt sounded yet? Do I have to continue to release the magic power of the horse spell?" Bo Chang, who was dizzy, also wanted to continue to persevere. But his body and mind did not allow it. He had just fought a big battle with the fake Ting Yun, and then used the power of the monkey spell to forcibly change the shape of the meteorite. If Bo Chang hadn't drunk the last bottle of Jim Roger bread-flavored soda before, now it was a problem whether he could stand up. Just when Bo Chang was about to give up, the voice of love option sounded in time. "Rewards are being distributed, congratulations on your 100% increase in mental power." The system's voice was timely. The next moment, Bo Chang, whose mind was clear, regained his spirit. Of course, it was only a little bit of recovery, so that Bo Chang would not fall asleep. It took a while. Bo Chang stood up straight, and he saw San Yuqi, Dan Heng, and others falling from the sky and coming to his side. "Bo Chang." The giant dragon Bai Lu turned back into the form of a little dragon Loli. She took a few steps forward, then jumped up and killed the dragon with a face hug. Bo Chang would naturally not let her succeed, and he stretched out his hands. He quickly stopped the opponent. Bo Chang grabbed Bai Lu's armpits and stopped her in mid-air, unable to move forward. The little dragon girl struggled with her hands and feet. "Hey, what are you doing?" "I was going to ask you what you were doing, Bai Lu. This is not how you ride a dragon on your face." Bo Chang looked at the little dragon girl helplessly. Bai Lu looked at him with a pair of pitiful eyes and said, "Because I just used too much power, so now I need to replenish Bo Chang's energy urgently." March 7 and others just watched the scene silently. There was no thought of interrupting. Bo Chang couldn't help but complain in his heart, "What the hell is Bo Chang's energy?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 153. But he could guess what the Bochang energy in Bailu's mouth was. It must be the magic of the dragon spell. This is an obvious fact. Okay, I'll give you a little. Bochang said nothing. Inject part of the magic power of the dragon talisman into Bailu. This undoubtedly made Bochang, who was already in poor health, even more uncomfortable, and his face turned slightly pale. The little dragon Lolita said excitedly, "Oh. My power is gushing out." Seeing Bailu so happy, Bochang was satisfied. He found that both Haida and General Jingyuan were looking at him. Bochang knew that they had something to say, so he let Bailu go. "Your power is really eye-opening. Bochang, I owe you a favor. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, please come to me and Jingyuan will definitely help." The Yunkai general from Luofu bowed his hand to him solemnly. This surprised Bochang, and he could only agree repeatedly. Haida put his hands on his hips, glanced at Jingyuan, and said, "Why are you so serious?" General Yunkai just smiled. Haida didn't care either, she turned to stare at Bochang. "So, are you ready to follow me now to do research in a deserted place?" The doll girl took a step forward and said in a clear voice, "I want to dig out the secrets in you." Chapter 188. Dan Feng. Bochang had some instinctive resistance to the high-spirited Black Tower. He couldn't explain what it felt like, but he couldn't get used to it anyway. This time it was Walter Yang who came to the rescue and said, "Ms. Black Tower, although I can understand your curiosity, but Luofu Immortal Boat has more important things to do now." General Jingyuan also nodded. All the time, Jingyuan was just wary of the evil creatures of abundance, star core hunters, secrets of the Medicine King, etc. "I never thought that the Anti-Material Legion would interfere with the Luofu Immortal Boat incident. It can be said. The appearance of this great Lord of Annihilation. This disrupted Jingyuan's plan. Originally, he was preparing to fight against the Order of Abundance, but now he became the Order of Destruction. It's like a candidate who has previewed physics in advance. Suddenly I heard that instead of taking the physics exam, I would take the math exam instead. All in all, it's quite messy." When Jingyuan thought of this, his eyes couldn't help but fall on Haida. This omniscient heavenly king's envoy came just in time. As long as the other party can join forces with him, the Destruction Order has nothing to fear. What's more, Jingyuan has another group of helpers, the train crew. Not to mention an emissary of destruction. Even if another fertility envoy emerges, Jingyuan will not panic. Certainly. Don't panic, now you still have to solve Jianmu's matter quickly, and you can't let Haida waste time on other things. General Jingyuan knew this principle very well. "Miss Black Tower, why don't you go to the Scale Abyss realm with me next and meet the Great Lord of Extermination for a while? As for Bochang's matter, we can wait until the matter is settled. Anyway, he won't do it for the time being. Leave." General Yunkai initiated an invitation to form a team. Haida shifted his gaze from Bochang, and after a low groan, he said, "That's okay, I haven't settled the accounts with them for the last time the Anti-Material Corps attacked the space station, I might as well take advantage of now, and the new let's settle old grudges together." Just like what was said before. The talisman principle of the Qianguan formation comes from the star god of wisdom, Bo Shizun, who is also known as the Universal Knowledge Heavenly Lord in Jingyuan's mouth. This can be seen from this incident. The relationship between the Immortal Boat Alliance and the intellectual Star God faction is not bad. Especially Black Tower. She once helped Xianzhou fight against the evil creature of abundance, and the relationship between the two is even closer. This is why Luofu Xianzhou also let in the Black Tower under the blockade. Certainly. Even if the Luofu Immortal Boat doesn't let go, the Black Tower can still sneak in many ways, but it's just not necessary. Since you can go through the door openly, Why bother to climb over the wall? Jing Yuan was very satisfied with Haida's affirmative reply, and asked on March 7, General Jing Yuan, then what should our train crew do next? We don't want to play outside anymore. Of course not. In fact, I'm already mobilizing the Yunkai army to attack the Danding division. If you have some spare time, you can go there to help. General, I'll give it a try. After all, Fuqing should be short of manpower. Jing Yuan looked at March Qi with a smile. General Yunkai's eyes were not big, and they narrowed into a straight line when he smiled. If Bo Chang hadn't seen the opponent's godlike sword just now, I'm afraid he will be deceived by Jing Yuan's approachable temperament. Attacking the Danding division, why? Isn't that Xian Zhou's own department? And, isn't that Master Taba trying to capture the Star Core Hunter? March 7 looked surprised. In addition to the pink-haired girl, Bo Chang, Xing, Zilua, Bailu, and King K all showed shocked looks. Jing Yuan's words were astonishing. There was only Walter Yang. He touched his chin thoughtfully and said, "Is it because of the secret of the King of Medicine?" "Yes, Mr. Walter is really amazing. He has just come to Xianzhou for a short time, but he already knows so many things." Jing Yuan nodded. The Star Core crisis in Xianzhou this time has both external and internal troubles. And the internal trouble is the hidden evil organization that calls itself the People of Fengro, Medicine King's secret. They have been lurking for 1,000 years and have taken control of Danding division without knowing it. Fortunately, Bai Lu has escaped, so she has not been persecuted by them. As for the Star Core Hunter, it is not important now. Jing Yuan said a lot in one breath. This is similar to the facts guessed by Walter Yang. In fact, after an in-depth investigation of Medicine King's secret, he has already discovered that it has an unclear connection with Danding division. In addition, after the outbreak of the Star Core disaster, Danding division almost lost contact. Walter Yang keenly discovered that something was wrong. If it weren't for the fake Ting Yun, I'm afraid he would have been on his way to Danding division now. Bai Lu patted his flat chest with lingering fear. If that's the case, it's a good thing that I ran fast, otherwise I would have been caught by the bad guys. No. It should be said that it's all thanks to Bo Chang, otherwise, I wouldn't have run out of the forbidden residence without stopping. Bai Lu raised his head and gently patted his strong waist with his tail. Bo Chang just rubbed the head of the little dragon lowly. He didn't think of speaking. When are we going to leave? I'm so bored staying here. Haida put one hand on his waist. Jing Yuan said, "Miss Haida, don't worry, we'll leave soon. Do you need help to deal with the Lord of Extinction this time?" Walter Yang pushed his black-framed glasses. If possible. Walter Yang wanted to participate in the battle to defeat the Lord of Extinction. Of course I need help, otherwise, this scale abyss is not easy to open. Jing Yuan said here, looking past Walter Yang and staring at Dan Heng, who tried to look away. Everyone noticed this scene. Jing Yuan continued, "Dan Feng, come with us." General Yunkai extended his hand. Amid everyone's astonished gaze, Jing Yuan invited Dan Heng and said a strange name. The air fell silent instantly. After a moment, the cold-faced little green dragon spoke slowly. "General, you should know the habit of reincarnation of the Qi Ming clan. The water of the ancient sea has washed away everything of Dan Feng. He is no longer here, the person standing in front of you now is Dan Heng. I hope that when you look at me, you will definitely abandon the shadow of the past. Let's be honest. There are many things that surprised everyone today. Whether it is that Ting Yun was replaced, and the one following everyone is actually the Lord of Extinction. Or Dan Heng suddenly turned into a little dragon. Or in the end, Bo Chang miraculously restored the most severely destroyed area of Changelshan to its original state and saved a large number of innocent Xianzhou citizens, etc. These things made everyone almost numb. Now we know that Dan Heng and Jing Yuan are old friends. It seems that there is nothing to be surprised about. Bo Chang just showed an expression of watching the show, and Sanyuki and others were similar. Everyone listened quietly to the conversation between Jing Yuan and Dan Heng. The cold-faced Xiao Qinglong actually didn't want to go with this Yunkai general. However, after the other party's persuasion, Dan Heng still gave in. Chapter 189 Going to Dan Dingxi. Under the arrangement of General Jing Yuan, Bo Chang and Walter Yang and others went directly to Dan Dingxi to support the attack on the Medicine King's secret. Jing Yuan, Haida, and Dan Heng went straight to Linyuan realm. Go to the place where Jianmu was sealed. The three of them faced the Lord of Extinction. The reason why Jing Yuan arranged this was also very simple. The Medicine King's secret had been waiting for a long time, and now it suddenly attacked. It must have been fully prepared. Dan Dingxi might have been managed like an iron barrel. It was a hard bone to chew. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 154. Even though Fu Xian was in charge of the overall situation, Jing Yuan was still worried that something might happen. It's better to let the train crew go to help. As for the king of extermination, with Jing Yuan himself plus Haida and Dan Heng, 3 people are enough. The 2 groups of soldiers set off in 2 directions. Jing Yuan also said that after Ba Kang and others deal with the incident in Dan Ding division, they can come to Linyuan realm to take a look. Time moves slowly backwards. On the way to ride the Xing Cha, Bo Chang always thought of Miss Fox. When parting with Jing Yuan, Bo Chang also asked the other party to inquire about Ting Yun. Jing Yuan naturally agreed. While walking on the road, Walter Yang also explained that the Ting Yun whom everyone was fighting just now was not possessed. In all likelihood, it is the transformed form of the Lord of Extermination. Otherwise, there would be no need for the escaped Lord of Extermination to destroy his body. Leave Ting Yun's body in front of everyone. Wouldn't it be even more shocking? Therefore, the real Ting Yun should be somewhere else, but it's a pity that we don't know whether he is alive or dead. Bo Chang looked out the window boredly. After taking a short rest, the fatigue on my body has faded greatly. Bo Chang took advantage of his free time now. I have been reviewing the battle with fake Ting Yun just now. Since coming to Xianzhou, the enemies Bo Chang encountered were each stronger than the last, completely different from the Yali Luo 6. Certainly. This was just Bo Chang's selective amnesia, ignoring the monsters he had beaten. After all, only strong enemies are impressive. It was in Belloberg. The only person who could be called a strong enemy was Kakalaya, and he wasn't too strong either. Bo Chang can completely rely on the weirdness of his ability to beat the opponent. And in Luofu Immortal Boat, first the Star Core Hunter Blade, and then the incarnation of the Lord of Extermination. They are both very strong in terms of strength and combat experience. Continue to develop according to this trend. Bo Chang's next step is to fight the Star God. Come on, the gap between me and your commander is still huge. Isn't beating the Star God simply seeking death? Bo Chang shook his head secretly. Let alone the commander, according to Dan Heng, there is probably still a certain gap between him and the Star Core Hunter. Today I can fight the incarnation of the Lord of Extinction. It completely relies on the 2 special attack skills of Messenger of Justice and Royal Sister Killer. Otherwise, Bo Chang's fate should be similar to that of Xing and March 7th. You want to say that you can't fight the Lord of Extermination? That's certainly impossible. In this battle, Xing March 7th still helped a lot. One cooperates with Dan Heng and Bo Chang to entangle the Lord of Extinction, and the other provides remote support and adds a shield to them. But it can only be regarded as being able to fight. Or rather, only a little bit. Xing March 7th was basically defeated by the Lord of Extermination in just a few seconds. It all depends on Bo Chang, Walter Yang, and Zhuolong Beilu. As for Silva and Kinke, that's hardly any help. After all, Shilava was almost defeated by a single move when he fought against the Star Core Hunter Blade, let alone the Great Lord of Annihilation. If you can survive one move, it's a big success. Qingke is better, but waiting for her to draw the cards is really too painful. He is a typical person who can't hold back a fart for a long time. When Bo Chang was thinking, Xing Cha successfully docked outside Dandingsi. Everyone, according to the coordinates, we have arrived at our destination. Esta's voice came from the front. The acting director of the space station is now with Bo Chang and others. This is also what Haida ordered. Anyway, they are going to the Scale Abyss realm next to face the Lord of Extinction. Esta can't help much, so it is better to let her do astrology for Bakang and others. As the daughter of a wealthy family, she also serves as the acting webmaster. Esta once sent the immortal boat on behalf of the Black Tower, so it can open the stars. Not only that, Esta's driving skills are also quite good. She drives smoothly, like an experienced driver. At the notice of the acting webmaster, Bo Chang and others opened the hatch and walked out one by one in an orderly manner. The situation of Dandingsi is not optimistic. Bo Chang looked around and could see many corpses lying on the ground, including the Yunkai army, the demon yin body, and some strange biological weapons. There is abundant power in it. Bo Chang, who has embarked on a path of destruction, can feel it. The battle situation is really tragic. March 7th sighed with emotion and put her hands on her chest in a defensive posture. Looks ready for battle. As long as a monster breaks out and hurts someone, March 7th will respond immediately. It seems that Master Tabo has already set off for the expedition. Qingke pressed her chin and said this. Speaking of which, the Mahjong girl saw Bo Chang and others fighting so fiercely. I didn't even plan to follow him. Unexpectedly, General Jing Yuan gave her a new order, to take Bo Chang and others to support Fu Xian. There is no doubt about it. Qingke once again made a kitten-like face. Just like the Mahjong girl said before, if she had known that this would happen, she should have played cards in the card hall. Well done on this one. The next work is really coming. What is happening now does not agree with Qingke's philosophy of life at all. I want to fish, there are so many things to do when I'm around them. The Mahjong girl sighed deeply. To know. When I saw the meteorite falling, Qingke thought he was going to die. Fortunately, Bo Chang and others stopped him, and Haida and Jing Yuan took action in time. This saved Qingque's life. The experience just now is for the Mahjong girl. It's like gods fighting and mortals suffering. If you can. Qingke really wanted to run away without looking back and never stay with the train crew. After all, this is too dangerous. Entrust your own life and safety to others. If you're not careful, you could die. But when General Jing Yuan takes action, Qingke must obey orders, otherwise her iron rice bowl will really be in jeopardy. When I think about it, I might squat under a bridge and beg passers-by to do well. Mahjong girls must cheer up and work hard, all for the sake of their future fishing career. I don't know if Taba will win or lose this battle. Walter Young, arms crossed. Scene looked at it and said, it must be a great victory. That's right, Scene is thinking the same as us. I think there are not many Yunkai soldiers who fell. This battle should be a beautiful one. March 7th put his hands on his hips and said seriously. Walter Young shook his head in denial. Not necessarily, if the march is successful, strongholds and troops will usually be left behind to provide support, but there is no such thing here. Chapter 190, Die Without Regrets, More Rewards. Dandingsi had been beaten to a pulp. Traces of the battle can be seen everywhere, as well as the corpses of those killed in battle. Bo Chang nodded and said, the reason why there is no Yunkai army here, actually I can guess one thing, that is, they have all been transformed into demon yin body soldiers. This can explain why there are not many of them. The corpse of Yun Ki-hoon. The corpses scattered all over the place are shocking. At this time, Dan Ding's eye looked at Bo Chang and felt a little psychologically uncomfortable. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 155. Facing these dead bodies. Bo Chang was unable to save him. Although the power of the horse charm was strong, it could only save those who were still alive. There is absolutely nothing that can be done about the dead body. That makes sense. March 7 nodded thoughtfully. Walter Young continued, without further ado, let's continue setting off. No one had any objection to Uncle Yang's words. So, the group was led by Bai Lu and Ching Ke. Continue to move towards the depths of Danding Division. As a little lowly from the dragon tribe who once lived here, Bai Lu is very familiar with Dandingsi, and King K has also been here several times, so she doesn't have to worry about getting lost. Bo Chang and others left not long ago. Then he saw two figures appearing in front of him. A fox woman wearing a doctor's costume seemed to be healing the wounds of a cloud cavalry sitting on the ground. Bo Chang and others quickly walked down the stone bridge. Hearing the noise, the fox doctor turned around and said, "You? It's not Yun Chi, what are you doing here? It's very dangerous." "Wait, isn't this Lord Bai Lu? I saw the little dragon Lolita who was following Bo Chang." The fox doctor's eyes lit up. As the next dragon lord of the Vidyadhara clan, Bailu's Vidyadhara marrow is coveted by many people. Thanks to the dragon girl's fast running, if she continues to stay in Dandingsi, God knows what will happen. Walter Yang sensed something keenly, but he still told the truth and said, "We were invited by the general for assistance. Where are the others? Hurry, run away, this guy is, the secret of the Medicine King." The dying Yun Ki-hoon sitting on the ground said this. The fox doctor turned his head dissatisfied. "Talk about, if I heal you, you will be one of us, so, you will help me catch the dragon girl, right?" In Bo Chang's view, the fox doctor's tone was already a bit crazy. Is the king of medicine such a lunatic? In this case, how did they lurk in Dandingsi for such a long time without being discovered? Doubts emerged one after another in Bo Chang's mind. The fox doctor had just finished speaking. The dying cloud cavalry sitting on the ground suddenly stood up, unsightly branches began to grow on his body, and the skin and flesh of his body were integrated with the armor. Yellow ginkgo leaves sprouted from everywhere, except for the barely recognizable human form. Bo Chang simply couldn't connect it with the previous Yunkai army. The fox doctor took half a step back. In an instant, more monsters came out of the streets and alleys, and Bo Chang and others seemed to be surrounded. March 7 glanced over and said, "This is the situation again. It seems we have to fight. Hurry, get out of here, I can't control myself." Yunkai, who had just transformed into a demonic soldier, finally shouted out. In the eyes of Bo Chang and others, he raised the sharp blade in his hand in despair and started to kill several people. The fox doctor just watched with interest. Just a few short-lived species. The fox doctor didn't care at all. She only paid attention to the fortune teller and the dragon girl. Pity. The fox doctor didn't know what she thought was short-lived. They are all powerful destiny walkers. Even the weakest Silva is not easy to deal with. Zinke had just lifted his metal baseball bat. Bo Chang stopped her and said, "Leave it to me." Seeing this, Star put down the baseball bat again. The others did not take action, but just looked at Bo Chang quietly, not knowing what he was going to do. The noble horse can dispel all external forces, so, will it have any effect on the demonic body? Bo Chang narrowed his eyes slightly. The demon body is a disease. As luck would have it, the horse talisman can cure all diseases. Bo Chang, who owns this thing, is simply a more professional healer than Bai Lu. Even if Hua Tuo was alive, he would have to give it to him. Seeing the demon soldiers getting closer and closer, Bo Chang took a step forward and came to the enemy. The soldiers of Moyin Shen were keenly aware of it. It's a pity that the strength gap between the two sides is too big. What Bo Chang wanted to do was beyond the ability of the Moyin soldiers to react. He only felt his chest being tapped by the other party, and his body stiffened instantly and fell backwards. A dazzling white light lit up. The centuries-old experiences of this demon warrior replayed in his mind. A revolving door? I'm dead. Just a slap. The demon Yin Shen soldier, whose sanity has not yet completely faded away, thought in his mind. But that's fine, so as not to hurt other people. Moreover, the reinforcements sent by General Jing Yuan were so strong, he didn't have to worry about the safety of his fellow soldiers, and he could feel relieved. I die with no regrets. The white light dispersed. The Yunkihun fell heavily to the ground. He was completely unaware that all the symptoms of the demon body disappeared. Thought he was dead. Bo Chang looked at Yun Kaijun lying on the ground with a peaceful expression and couldn't help scratching his head. Is this person touching the porcelain? Bo Chang just patted the opponent's chest and injected the power of the horse spell into his body. What is this? What is going on? What did you do? Seeing Bo Chang restore the demonic yin body soldiers who had just transformed to their original state, the fox doctor's eyes almost popped out. Kinkei, Sanyuki, Bailu, and others were surprised too many times. Now seeing Bo Chang do this, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. Just now, the scene of recasting Changleshan and turning a group of dying Xianzhou people into bones is still vivid in my mind. When everyone left, I still heard many Xianzhou people talking about the blessing of the star god. Sanyuki also teased Bo Chang and asked him what name he wanted to give himself. When he heard this, at that time, Bo Chang subconsciously thought of the word Abba. That was not a good memory. Without the idea of answering the fox doctor's doubts, Bo Chang looked at her and said, "You are a bad woman, right?" Huh. The fox doctor typed a big question mark. Bo Chang clenched his fist. I said, "You are a bad woman, right?" The fox healer, who didn't know what the other party was talking about, had a fierce look in her eyes. She immediately retreated and ordered the surrounding demonic soldiers and various ferocious war beasts to attack everyone. But the next moment, Bo Chang's fist came in front of the fox healer. The pupils trembled. An inexplicable fear surged in her heart. The fox healer just wanted to dodge, and the hard fist had already landed on her chest. Her body could not withstand this huge force and was shattered by a punch, and large and small pieces of meat flew everywhere. The scene was extremely bloody. It was confirmed that she was a bad woman. Otherwise, Bo Chang's punch would not be so powerful. Chapter 191 Station. The fox healer was not an ordinary member of the Medicine King's secret. Just from the fact that the other party could command a group of soldiers, it can be seen that she must be at least a small leader. It is estimated that the Medicine King's secret used it to intercept the reinforcements of the Cloud Riders. Unfortunately, she was unlucky and ran into the train group that accepted Jing Yuan's commission to support Fu Xian. Bo Chang threw a simple punch. It directly cracked her. Who made this fox healer a bad woman? It just happened to run into Bo Chang's special attack, and it was not unfair at all. The cracked fox healer only made Bo Chang's fist stained with a little blood, and more blood was like a spray, spraying all over the ground in a certain direction. Bright red blood dripped from the fist. Bo Chang casually shook his hand and dealt with it simply. The wriggling meat on the ground seemed not to be dead yet, and each piece stretched out a lot of ugly tentacles, looking for the flesh and blood next to it. It is worthy of being the secret of the king of medicine with abundant power. The vitality is indeed tenacious. Seeing this, Bo Chang sprayed out another fire lotus and burned it clean in one breath. It was burned directly to ashes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 156. There is no possibility of resurrection. This can be regarded as the first time that Bo Chang killed an intelligent creature similar to himself. As for guilt, there is no such thing. The opponent was broken into several pieces and the tentacles were spreading. It made people feel sick. The demon yin body soldiers and ferocious war beasts that rushed over did not stop because of the death of the fox doctor. They swarmed in and people could even smell the strong smell of blood. Bo Chang stamped his feet. The white light flashed, and the power of the horse spell spread around. The demon yin body soldiers fell down in unison, some of them were Yunkai, and some were doctors of Danding Division. Those war beasts that appeared because of the gift of abundance were not affected by the magic of the horse spell. After all, they were born like this. The friendly soldiers who fell beside him were not taken seriously by him. After all, their target was the enemy in front. March 7, Esta and others immediately entered combat mode. Looking at the oncoming war beasts, Bo Chang reached out and grasped the spear of oath, and then swept it across. The burning spear tip immediately cut through the enemy's fur. Several wolf-shaped war beasts had their throats cut by Bo Chang. Although they appeared as abundant spirit beasts, these war beasts did not have the strange recovery ability of the demon yin body. Bo Chang could easily kill them instantly without finishing them off. Others also showed their prowess. Except for an elite war beast that looked like a gorilla, which caused a little pressure on everyone. The other monsters were quite weak. Bo Chang and others did not spend much effort to solve all the war beasts that rushed over. It took no more than a minute. At this time, the Cloud Cavalry and the medical staff of the Danding Division on the ground also sat up one after another. The people who woke up were still a little confused and didn't know what was going on now. Including the Cloud Cavalry that had touched Porcelain Bo Chang before, he thought he was dead, but the sound of fighting around him made him unable to recover. He quickly got up to see what was going on. Wait for him to sit up. The fight between Bo Chang and the others and the war beasts was coming to an end. The last blow was completed by Kinkai, and a Daiyuan Kaianjiao card flew out, knocking down a wolf-shaped war beast directly. Next, Walter Yang looked at the Cloud Cavalry who sat up and said, "Does anyone know where the Tabu is? We are the aid requested by the general. Lord Tabu should be camping in front, but why am I here? I clearly remember that I have fallen into the devil's body. I should have died, why am I still alive?" More than a dozen Cloud Cavalry present muttered, describing their own situations. No one doubted the identity of Walter Yang and others. After all, the corpses of the war beasts on the ground can let people know that they are friendly forces. Hey? What happened? I just took a nap. Why did I wake up and lie here? A medical officer of the Danding Division was very confused. The Cloud Cavalry, who had come to their senses, spontaneously organized themselves to guard these medical practitioners. Although the Danding Division was infiltrated and controlled by the Medicine King's secret. But not all of them were members of the Medicine King's secret. For example, Bai Lu. There were many innocent people implicated. So the Cloud Cavalry could not kill all of the medical practitioners of the Danding Division. But they could not trust them, because there might be members of the Medicine King's secret among them. This was a bomb that needed to be guarded. The battle was over. March 7 looked at the ground that was melted by the fire lotus and smacked his lips and said, "Bo Chang, you are too violent." The violence in the pink-haired girl's mouth. Naturally, it refers to the scene where Bo Chang punched the fox medical practitioner to pieces. It was indeed a bit bloody. Anyone who saw it would feel psychologically uncomfortable. If that scene had not been set on fire by Bo Chang, it would have been even more uncomfortable if it had been in front of them. I just didn't control the strength well. Bo Chang said casually. A cloud rider without a mask came over. Excuse me, was it this gentleman who cured my demonic body just now? Or, Lady Dragon Girl? This cloud rider was the one who touched Bo Chang just now. As for his face, Bo Chang still had some impression. Not this lady. Bai Lu shook her head immediately. Although she could cure the demonic body. But she had to give the other party medicine to drink. Unlike Bo Chang, as long as he emitted white light, he could cure diseases, and he could cure all these people instantly. The method seemed incredible. Thank you for saving my life, sir. This cloud rider clasped his fists and bowed, thanking him solemnly. As soon as this was said, the other cloud riders also spoke in unison. Thank you for saving my life, sir. Bo Chang just waved his hand casually and said, You're welcome, this is what I should do. Next. Bo Chang and others had no intention of chatting with the cloud riders. After learning about Fu Xian's news, they hurried over. While saving the cloud cavalry. While defeating the members of the Medicine King's secret sect. Bo Chang and others quickly found the cloud cavalry's base. Unfortunately, they didn't come at the right time. Fu Xian led the scouts to the front to investigate information, but he is not in the station now. Bo Chang and others could only take a short rest here. The emergence of the secret biography of the King of Medicine. The military morale of the Yunkai army was severely suppressed. After all, those guys have a magical method that can make the immortal seed fall into the demon body in a short period of time. Before, when the Yunkai army invaded Dandingsi, it didn't cause many casualties. Instead, the last comrade suddenly fell into the devil's body, catching the Yunkai army by surprise. There were many casualties. Nowadays, throughout the camp, it can be said that people are panicked. If Bakang and others walked around casually, they would hear a lot of words that were not conducive to unity. Those captured members of the secret Medicine King are still deceiving the public with their lies. Said some strange remarks. Chapter 192 Yongzia Zifu. Fu Xian did not keep Bo Chang and others waiting. Not long after, the Taba Master appeared in front of everyone. It's been a long wait, everyone. I have found out the mystery behind the Medicine King's secret transmission. Fu Xian raised his head slightly and looked at everyone. Bakang said, in that case, let's settle the matter here quickly. Next, we have to go to the Linyuan realm. Jingyuan, Haida, and Danhan had already taken the lead to where Jianmu was. Chasing the figure of the Lord of Extermination. If Bakang and others arrive late, the battle may be over. But a battle at the level of an envoy. It shouldn't end so soon. In the previous battle between Bo Chang and others and the incarnation of the Lord of Extermination, the other party did not want to fight anymore and took the initiative to withdraw from the battlefield. Otherwise, the fighting will continue. The fight lasted for God knows how long. Huh? Are you in such a hurry? Fu Xian put one hand on his hip. The pink-haired Master Taba looked at Bo Chang quietly. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 157. On the way here, she had already heard about the other party's ability to instantly heal the demonic body. For the Yunkai army. This is great news. The disease of demonic body is very difficult to treat. Because in essence, it can be said to be the aging of the immortal species. On the two ferry boats of Luofu, only Bala can cure, or in other words, delay the disease. Everyone else could only watch. And Bo Chang has the ability to instantly heal the demon's yin body. As long as it is conveyed, it will definitely boost the morale of the military. What's more, the medicine-bearing dragon girl is also here. All in all, the advantage is mine. Walter Yang said, because the general has already gone to Jianmu's location, to deal with the Lord of Extermination, so we want to rush there quickly to help. Lord of Extermination? The general never told me about this at all. Fu Xian's handsome eyebrows wrinkled. Esta thought for a while and said, General Jingyuan may not want Lord Taibu to worry, and with MS Black Tower accompanying him, a Lord of Extermination can't make any waves? The Black Tower is a genuine envoy. Even though it's just a doll, it's still a pretty powerful helper. It is almost equivalent to the incarnation of the Lord of Extinction just now. And the other party is very powerful. It is obvious to all. Even if the train crew tried their best, they could only temporarily block the opponent. The Luofu immortal boat was destroyed due to the star core disaster, causing communication inconvenience. And Fu Xian was very busy, so certain things would never reach her ears. For example, Black Tower's visit to the Luofu immortal boat. But Fu Xian knew Esta. He also knew that the other party was the acting webmaster of the Black Tower space station. Esta's words are completely trustworthy, even more trustworthy than those on the train crew. After all, the relationship between the Immortal Boat Alliance and the Black Tower space station is good. We also fought side by side. He is a comrade in the fight against abundant evil creatures. Fu Xian calculated with his fingers, raised his head and said, so that's it? I understand. I'll keep the story short. Everyone on the train crew, I need you to close a few alchemy furnaces. The members of the Medicine King's secret order have far less comprehensive combat capabilities than the Yunkai army. After all, most of the members are doctors from the Danding division. No matter in terms of combat effectiveness, military discipline, or sophisticated equipment, etc., they are inferior to the Yunkai army. In the battle in the military formation, it can be said that Medicine King's secret was defeated one after another. If it weren't for the smoke released by those pill furnaces, the immortal seeds would fall into the demonic body. The Yunkai army here does not need help and can completely penetrate the Danding division on its own, entering and exiting 7 times without any problem. After Fu Xian's explanation, Bo Chang and others understood the details of the next mission. It is said that those alchemy furnaces were props used by alchemists to deduce the immortal path in ancient times. They can absorb the power of building wood and turn fantasy into reality. Because the smoke in the furnace never goes out, it is named Yongziazifu. It was mixed with a pill that could induce the demon's yin body. This is very cruel to the immortal species. As long as the alchemy furnace is not extinguished and the smoke is lingering, the Yunkai army will be unable to move. Next, Bo Chang and others came to a high platform somewhere with Fu Xian. Looking at the huge alchemy furnace emitting smoke in front, in addition to this big one, there are several small alchemy furnaces next to it. The misty white mist embellishes the place like a fairyland. But for the Yunkai army, this is a terrible place to die. Is there a possibility that we can blow up all those pill furnaces directly? Bo Chang pointed with his big hand. This was the fastest way he could think of. Theoretically, it is possible, but, even if these alchemy furnaces are blown up, they will be repaired thanks to the power of building wood. Fu Xian shook his head. She had also thought about blowing up the alchemy furnace. Unfortunately it failed. After all, the King of Medicine will not watch them blow up the alchemy furnace. And even if it explodes successfully, the power of Jianmu will restore the alchemy furnace again, surprisingly quickly. The only way is to turn it off. My idea is, to use the main force of Yunkai to contain the enemy and attract their attention, while you go to extinguish the alchemy furnace and stop the smoke. When the time comes, I will lead the Yunkai army to come. I will never let everyone fight alone. Fu Xian's idea is very simple. The romance option is turned on. Option 1, show a confident smile and say, Lord Taibu, let's not waste time. Uncle Yang and I will charge directly into the battle and kill randomly. I guarantee that the battle will be resolved in 3 minutes. Completion reward, get random props, ranging from matches to star destroyers. Note, such props will. Option 2, puzzled, Master Tabu, is there a possibility that we can get a gust of wind to blow away all the smoke? Completion reward, Fuxian's white eyes. Option 3, seriously, Master Tabu, since you have made a plan, then just do what you said. Completion reward, obtain a 3-star hunting light cone, Li Xian. Note, such props will. The option that suddenly popped up made Bo Chang fall into deep thought. Option 2, you can tell at a glance that you can't choose it. But why? Logically speaking, the Luofu Immortal Boat is a cleverly constructed landscape, and was dispatched by the Daihangxi Weather Tower. Logically speaking, it should be absolutely fine to set off a strong wind, but forget it, let's not think about this. I guess Fuxian has other unspeakable secrets. Bo Chang set his sights on options 1 and 3. Random props and 3-star hunting light cone. If you want to be safe, the Samsung hunting light cone is definitely better. But Bo Chang still wanted to give it a try, not to mention that he really needed to end the war in Danding Division quickly and take everyone to the Abyss Realm. The battle between the envoys is extremely exciting just thinking about it. What's more, 3 envoys are competing on the same stage. Of course Bo Chang wanted to take a look. Option 1. Bo Chang showed a confident smile and said, Master Tabu, let's not waste time. Uncle Yang and I will charge directly into the battle and kill randomly. I guarantee that the battle will be resolved in 3 minutes. You can try it? Walter Yang nodded in agreement. He was also in a hurry to go to the Scale Abyss Realm, naturally he didn't want to waste time. Chapter 193 Raid. If you have enough time. Walter Yang didn't mind taking March 7th, Seeing and others to slowly kill the monsters. This is for them. It's a kind of exercise. There are only advantages and no disadvantages. Pity. Walter Yang, the Lord of Extermination who had his heart set on the Scale Abyss Realm, naturally changed his attitude. He met Bo Chang who also wanted to go to Linyuan Realm quickly to watch the excitement. The two hit it off immediately. March 7th frowned slightly and said, is it really okay for the two of you to go? It doesn't matter. Uncle Yang and I will fly directly in the sky to attack the enemy. Bo Chang gently patted the scabbard of the cyber flying sword. Own this thing. Bo Chang can fly at high altitudes at will, and his speed is very fast. Walter Young also possesses the ability to fly. The two of them are best suited to carry out raid missions. Bai Lu is from the Vidyadhara clan. Belonging to the immortal species, it is also possible to be affected by the elixir in the smoke and fall into the demonic body. So it was not considered by Bo Chang at all. That's right, I really envy you guys for being able to fly. March 7th is a bit yearning. Neither she nor Seen nor Shilava could fly. Not only does Bo Chang have the ability to fly himself, but the props around him also have the ability to fly. I really envy others. Seen thought for a while and then said, Bo Chang, if you use Fijian, can you bring another person with you? If you can, then bring March with you, she should be able to help. The pink-haired girl's bow has a very long range. Even standing here, as long as you find a good angle, March 7th can hit the alchemy furnace. But because the distance is too far, the power will drop a lot. It is also easier to be intercepted by the enemy. Well, being busy can indeed help, but I feel dizzy in big scenes, so let's forget it. I have the option of love in the starry sky. Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 158. Before Bo Chang could speak, March 7th shook his head repeatedly. There are many members of the Secret Medicine King stationed at the front. From a long distance away, on March 7th, one could see the looming heads in the clouds. If we really charge head-on, there will definitely be a lot of enemies coming out. Just thinking about it will make you suffer from trypophobia. I don't want to go on March 7th. It would be of no use if Singh and Silva went there. Bai Lu wanted to go along, but was stopped by Fu Xian. The little lowly from the dragon tribe serves as the next dragon lord of Luofu immortal boat. Fu Xian can't just sit back and watch the other party go into danger. If Bai Lu falls into the devil's body, he will be in big trouble. As we all know, the stronger a person falls into the demonic body, the harder it is to deal with them. If something goes wrong with Bai Lu, who can transform into a giant dragon, that would really be Moon Drinking Rebellion 2.0. Okay, if there are no objections, I will go up with Uncle Yang. Bo Chang's eyes swept across several people's faces. Fu Xian nodded and said, since you are so confident, just try it. If it doesn't work, think of other methods. Walter Young and Bo Chang looked at each other. No intention of speaking. Walter Young directly controlled gravity to take off, floating like a fairy. Bo Chang controlled the cyber flying sword to unsheath it. As before, he held the hilt of the sword with one hand and said, then let's go first. See you later. Cyber flying sword, let's go. Whoosh. The cyber flying sword flew towards the sky. Bo Chang was dragged behind, his clothes rustling. It's amazing. Bo Chang's clothes were punched through by the incarnation of the Lord of Extermination. It has now been restored to its original state. The clothes Yin Lang gave Bo Chang were like cyber flying swords, with the function of automatic repair. She is so willing. Bo Chang just muttered something in their hearts. In fact, he has said similar things before. But after discovering the new functions of clothes, Bo Chang couldn't help but sigh again. Looking from a distance, the huge alchemy furnace was breathing clouds and mist, covering everything around it, making it difficult to see the road and enemies below. Bo Chang made a slight estimate. I think the alchemy furnace is about 60 or 70 meters high, which is considered majestic. Although there is still a long way to go. But Bo Chang and Walter Young, who were hundreds of meters above the ground, could already touch a layer of mist. As the distance gets closer, Bo Chang and the other two were soon attacked by the King of Medicine secrets. Bullets, high-energy rays, bows and arrows, cannonballs, etc. There are various means of attack. Walter Yang just threw a pseudo-black hole in front and blocked almost all attacks. The strength of the Medicine King's secret is indeed not strong. At least in Walter Yang's view, it was an existence that could be crushed at will. It didn't matter whether Bo Chang came with him or not. He could actually penetrate it by himself. The two defended and counterattacked at the same time. Simulated black holes and dragon explosions fall from high altitudes. Along the way, he knocked down an unknown number of members of the secret Medicine King. It's almost done, Uncle Yang, let me give it a shot first. Bo Chang stretched out his hand and shouted loudly. Walter Young just nodded. Seeing this, Bo Chang aimed at the largest and most conspicuous alchemy furnace, gathered the magic power of the dragon talisman, and blasted it out. The flame beam quickly grew in size from the palm of his hand. Finally, it crossed a distance of several thousand meters and landed on the alchemy furnace. There was only a loud bang, and Bo Chang blasted a big gap in the ancient and majestic alchemy furnace, and the speed of puffing out clouds and mist also slowed down a lot. This thing is so hard, and just like Master Tabu said, it recovers quickly. Bo Chang fired this cannon. It should have destroyed the entire alchemy furnace directly. The result was only a hole blasted in it, and the exposed area was quickly filled up. Jian Mu's power is indeed strange and extraordinary, it looks a bit like a horse charm. Bo Chang suddenly had such a feeling in his heart. Can you do it? If not, try me instead. Walter Young glanced at him. Bo Chang's first dragon blast was just a test. he still had a stronger attack that he hadn't used yet. But I saw how hard this thing was. Bo Chang didn't intend to destroy it directly, so he decided to use Qiao Jin. Except for the dragon talisman. There are other talismans on Bo Chang's body. In this case, the monkey charm can come in handy. Bo Chang said, "Uncle Yang, let me try it again." "I don't believe it. This alchemy furnace can still be effective after changing its shape. You want to use that kind of power." Walter Yang had also seen the power of the monkey talisman before, and it could even weaken the powerful skills of the Lord of Destruction to deal with such a pill furnace. "Of course it's easy to get." Bo Chang nodded. He had already had this idea when he saw the option presented. "Do you need me to catch you?" Walter Yang asked again. They all know that if the opponent exerts too much force, he will immediately lose strength. It's just that the magic power of the monkey charm has nothing to do with physical strength. At this point, everyone on the train crew doesn't know yet. Bo Chang shook his head. Then he aimed at the alchemy furnace and activated the magic power of the monkey charm. Only a light blue light was seen shooting out. The huge alchemy furnace that breathed out clouds and mist immediately turned into a statue of a monkey scratching its head and ears. The leader of the secret biography of Medicine King looked confused. Chapter 194 Alchemy. After the largest alchemy furnace turned into a lifelike monkey statue, the ability to breathe smoke is gone. The surrounding fog quickly dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. The world in Bo Chang's eyes suddenly changed from mosaic to 4K high definition. I saw several small alchemy furnaces operating further away. Bo Chang simply fired a few more rounds. Turn it into a bunny statue, a pig statue. The smoke dissipated quickly and disappeared without a trace, as if it had never appeared. The secret members of the Medicine King who were originally hidden in the mist were also directly exposed under the noses of Walter Yang and Bo Chang. It takes no more than a minute. Bo Chang directly solved the problem of the alchemy furnace with the least effort. He is not just the leader of the Medicine King's secret tradition. Fu Xian was also stunned. She rubbed her eyes vigorously and repeatedly confirmed that she had seen it correctly. Then he turned his attention to Kinke. "What's going on?" "Bo Chang has the ability to change the shape of objects. A meteorite fell from Changelshan before, and it was turned into a jellyfish shape by Bo Chang, and then the speed was greatly slowed down." The green bird talks eloquently. Because each cave uses space folding technology. Therefore, even with two adjacent caves, it is difficult to find out what is happening on the other side. This also led to Fu Xian not knowing about the meteorite falling from Changelshan. Just like she didn't know that the Great Lord of Extermination appeared on the Luofu immortal boat. No way. It all happened so suddenly. Moreover, Xianzhou is too chaotic now, and many Yunkai troops have even lost contact. For example, Su Shang, whom Bo Chang and others had seen before. Fu Xian put his hands on his hips and looked at Kinke angrily, saying, "Why didn't you tell me about such an important thing earlier? It made me almost use the slowest way to resolve the battle." Fortunately, they stepped forward. If I had known, Bo Chang could directly make the alchemy furnace deform and fail. Fu Xian doesn't need to think so much. Just let Bo Chang go up and it's done. It's simple and crude. I thought Lord Tabo had figured it out. Kinke showed an extremely shy smile. Fu Xian didn't like this. She raised her eyebrows slightly. "You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I have the option of Love in the Starry Sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 159. If you forget, you have forgotten. Don't block me with such words. As a diviner, don't you know that the information must be detailed enough for the prediction to be accurate? Master Tabu, I was wrong. I will change it next time. King K begged for mercy again and again. Because this is not a big deal. Fu Xian did not hold on tightly. She immediately led the Yunkai army to move forward, aiming to eliminate the rebels. Along the way, members of the secret medicine king either died or surrendered. After losing the alchemy furnace, these traitors from the Luofu immortal boat could not stop the Yunkai army at all and could only be crushed by the torrent. Turn into the dust of history. Bo Chang and Walter Yang flew to the huge monkey statue before Fu Xian. Below it gathered many members of the Medicine King's secret sect. They are probably the core cotters. As long as it is solved, the organization of Medicine King's secret will be uprooted. But Walter Young, after seeing the woman standing in the first place, the pupils contracted slightly. Alchemy. Walter Yang looked at the other party condescendingly. Although Danju's appearance and clothing at this time were different from those seen before. But Walter Young still recognized it. Bo Chang asked curiously, "Uncle Yang, do you know her?" "Well, her name is Danju, and she is the chief Danji of the Danding division. When I accepted the commission from the Daiheng division, I looked for her before, but I didn't expect, it's actually the person who was secretly taught by the King of Medicine." Walter Young had mixed emotions. And looking at this position, Danju's status in the secret biography of the Medicine King is not ordinary. Bo Chang had no intention of talking nonsense. "Raising your hand is a dragon blast." Pillars of flame fell from the sky, hitting the Medicine King's secret master below and fleeing in panic. Many people were directly killed. But the demonic body's ability to recover is abnormal. As long as they don't hit the bullseye, they can recover. There were even some demonic in-body soldiers transformed from the Cloud Cavalry army. Even if you are hit in the bullseye, you can recover instantly. This is caused by the difference in recovery power. Danju does not dodge or avoid, while others scramble to escape. Danju just said calmly, "Mr. Walter, I didn't expect it to be you." Bo Chang cleared the field for a while. The two of them fell to the ground together. Walter Young tapped the ground with the Star of Eden in his hand. "I also didn't expect that Master Dan, who helped me at the beginning, was actually the leader of the Medicine King's secret section. Friendly backstabs and the like. This is not the story Walter Young wanted to see. Danju, surrender. We have already driven away the great Lord of Extermination. You can't win." "Hear something like this." Danju's eyes narrowed and he said, "Impossible, how could Huanhu be driven away by you guys? She is the Lord of Extermination, there is no way she could lose." The chief alchemist of the Alchemy Division suddenly revealed the name of the great Lord of Annihilation. Walter Young mused. "Huanhu, it turns out it's her." Walter Young had heard this name from the mouths of other unknown visitors, or rather pioneers. One of the 7 extermination lords under Nanook. She loves the self-destruction of mortals, and many creatures have been lured into the abyss of eternal destruction by her. Huanwu is fond of both spiritual and material destruction. The collapse of the soul leads to the death of the body. Thinking about it this way, the probability that Tingyun is still alive is even greater. Witnessing Walter Yang extracting information from Danju, Bo Chang followed suit and said, "Don't think that if you hide Tingyun, we won't be able to find out that she has been switched." "I see." Danju lowered his eyes. Bo Chang had already talked about it to this point. Of course she knew that Huanlu had been discovered. But the opponent should not be defeated yet. Otherwise, these two people would have no need to extract information from themselves. "Mr. Walter, do you see what I look like now? This is the blessing of abundance, the power of the immortals from the ancient times. As short-lived species, don't you want to live forever? Join the Medicine King's secret now. It's not too late to spread the word. I will lead you to achieve enlightenment and become immortals together." Wearing a blue and black tight skirt, holding a wooden scepter, and blindfolded by a black cloth, tempting Bo Chang and Walter Young. The two remained calm. After Danshu finished speaking, Walter Yang directly released a pseudo-black hole to show his determination. Bo Chang directly projected the Spear of Oath. Danshu was sucked into the simulated black hole and could not dodge at all. Bo Chang penetrated it with one shot. It's useless, it's useless. I have an immortal body. There is no way you can defeat me. Danshu directly pulled out the Spear of Oath. The injured body returned to its original shape very quickly. It's just that the fire power is not in place. Bo Chang blew out the fire lotus. Danshu was burned into a big fireball. Chapter 195, As soon as I entered, I saw the Black Tower fighting Huanhu, more bounties will be added. One thing to say. After receiving the blessing of abundance, Danshu. The strength is indeed good, much stronger than the original Kakalaya. Unfortunately, the current Bo Chang is much stronger than before. And he has 2 more special attack skills. Unfortunately, this guy is also a bad woman. So Bo Chang dealt with Danshu like an elite monster, and the battle could be ended in a few moves. The Fire Lotus blew. The defense system that Danshu had just built was completely destroyed. She was burned to unconsciousness and fell to the ground. Her originally fair and charming body turned into charcoal, and her clothes were all gone. The abundant power was still repairing her body to ensure her immortality. But Bo Chang's flame was still burning. The two sides reached a strange state of balance. Like a perpetual motion machine. However, Bo Chang knew that his flame would not burn for too long. Once the magic power of the released dragon talisman was exhausted, it would automatically disappear. How could this happen? Who are they? They are just a group of short-lived people, but they are so powerful. Danshu didn't believe that he lost so easily. But this is the fact. Looking at Danshu, who looked like a human charcoal, Walter Yang's eyes slightly raised. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he always felt that Bo Chang seemed to be more powerful when he beat women. The leader of the secret teachings of the King of Medicine fell to the ground. The soldiers with good eyesight scattered. The loyal guards rushed up and fell to the ground together. Bo Chang and Walter Yang started to mow the grass unparalleled. They cleaned up this place easily. When Fu Xian arrived, the fight was over here. The voice of the system sounded. Rewards are being distributed. Congratulations on getting equipment, teleportation ring, which can be teleported at will within 10 meters. It comes with 3 grids of energy. Each use consumes 1 grid, and it takes 24 hours to recharge to restore 1 grid. Note, this kind of props will. The surprise came very suddenly, and Bo Chang drew the props he wanted at once. Now Bailu's teleportation ring has also been found. Bo Chang's mouth corners slightly raised. Sanyuki, who had just arrived, asked in confusion, "What are you laughing at?" "I got the teleportation ring." Ba Kame looked at Bailu. The little dragon lowly raised her head in tacit understanding. "Is it for me?" "Yes." Ba Kame handed over the silver-white teleportation ring. Bailu cheered and put it on her hand immediately, and then another dragon hugged her face and killed her. Ba Kame, who had been prepared, naturally would not let the sneak attack succeed. Just like before, he caught it directly. Watching such a farce, Sanyuki shook his head and sighed. "I have the option of love in the starry sky." Author, Lao Cha Shugu. Chapter 160. Fu Xian said, "They have a pretty good relationship." Star nodded. Dan Dingxi's crushing game came to an end for the time being, but Ba Kame and others did not stop. Take a boat to the Abyss Realm non-stop. The end game here is naturally left to the Yunkai army to handle. Fu Xian did not follow her and captured Danshu alive. There are still many things to ask. If there were no accidents, Jing Yuan and others should already be fighting against the Great Lord of Extinction. Sitting on the boat, Bo Chang looked at the quietly flowing water of the ancient sea outside. This place is the Scale Abyss realm. A large area of land is covered with sparkling sea water, and the edge cannot be seen at all. Think of your own skills, underwater breathing. Bo Chang had the urge to try it. But he still held back. Walter Young stood on the bow of the ship, looking at the calm sea ahead with a serious expression. I don't know what the situation is like over there at Danhan. That was when Jing Yuan and others were leaving. In fact, Bo often asked Zillowa, Seeing, and March 7 to follow him. In this case, everyone can transfer directly when the time comes, which is very convenient. Only General Jing Yuan refused. As for the reason, Jing Yuan just said, the presence of Black Tower and Dan Heng is enough. You might as well solve the Dan Ding division's affairs first. Ba Kang and others moved very quickly, just as they were leaving for the Scale Abyss realm. Jing Yuan, Haida, and Dan Heng had just fought against the Lord of Extinction. The sealing place of the wooden root system is being built. The Golden God and the huge Huanlong were beating you back and forth, strong winds and thunder flashed, and the scene was quite lively. Dan Heng, who turned into a dragon man, caused huge waves. The Black Tower's big hammer even hit Huanhu's head and two big ones. About another messenger appearing in Xianzhou. This was a situation that Huanlong had not expected at all, just like she had not expected that people from the Star Dome train would come here. The three envoys fought so hard that the space at the root of the tree was shattered. But all this has nothing to do with Bo Chang and others. They were still on their way by boat. Just like before, the driver this time was Esta. Time passes slowly. Wait for Ba Kang and his party to arrive at Jianmujian system. The battle between the envoys is coming to an end. Huge Huanhu entered the third stage, which is the form of platinum gold. Its outstanding and graceful body. At first glance, the impression is that it is big. It's just too big. Don't ask where it is bigger, Huanhu is really big everywhere. Then, as soon as Bo Chang and others entered, they saw Haida hitting Huanlu's head with a big hammer. The Lord of Extermination tried to put his hands together to block it, but failed. He was hit on the head with a hammer from the Black Tower, which directly concussed Huanhu Hammer's brain, and the huge sound spread throughout the entire space. The sound is very crisp and nice. Just quite useless. Bo Chang and others watched helplessly as Jing Yuan, Haida, and Dan Heng beat Huanwu. Show no mercy. All kinds of moves were directed at each other, without any thought of pity. Although this gigantic king of extinction possesses the two powers of abundance and destruction. Very strong. But facing the two envoys and the fake envoys, the cold-faced Xiao Qinglong was no match at all. It was a headwind from beginning to end. There was no chance of gaining the upper hand. I'm going to help too. You just stay here and learn a lot. Walter Young, eager to try. Bo Chang and others had no objection. So. Enter Walter Young. Seem thought for a moment and said, do we really want to watch here? Listen to Uncle Yang. Bo Chang answered casually. In a battle of this level, they can't be of much help. Instead of rushing forward and having a life and death battle. It's better to just stay back and watch the show. Anyway, there are Jing Yuan, Haida, Dan Heng, and Walter Yang on the field. There are four thighs in front. Why did Bo Chang have to fight the Lord of Extermination with a narrow escape? I fought with its incarnation before. Bo Changdu was accidentally hit with a famous sword. Naturally, there is no thought of taking risks now. That's right. Bo Chang came here just to watch Huanlong being beaten. Seeing her being beaten so badly, he felt much better instantly. No matter what. Huanlu destroyed one of Bo Chang's life-saving tools, so of course he had complaints in his heart. March 7 didn't think so. She put her hands on her hips and said, I don't want to stay here anymore. That's the Lord of Extermination, even if we can't defeat him, we can still go up and join in the fun. Why do you want to join in any fun? Bo Chang simply couldn't complain. Chapter 196, Taking Off Clothes in 1 Second. The Lord of Extermination is very powerful. There is no doubt about it. And the current illusion looks much more powerful than the fake Tingyun before. Bo Chang had no idea of going up and touching the tiger's butt. March 7th had the opposite idea. She wanted to go up and have a chance. Nowadays, Bo Chang and others were far away from the battlefield. Dan Heng, Haida, and others all looked like small black dots. The ones that attracted the most attention were Shenzhen and Huanlu. After all, they are so big that it is hard not to attract attention. We are idle anyway, seeing, what do you think? Do you want to go up and try? March 7 looked at the gray-haired girl. Seeing said, it's alright, I don't care. Zilawa, Bailu, and Esther, what do you think? March 7 looked at the other three. As for Kinke, the Mahjong girl had just been captured by Fu Xian. Because Kinke didn't know the way to the scaled abyss realm, it would be a waste to let her follow Bo Chang and others. It would be better to capture her to do other work. The work of leading the way is left to Bailu. As the next Dragon Lord, Bailu going back to the scaled abyss realm is like going home. Zilawa, I don't want to go. Bailu, I don't want to go either. Esther, MS Black Tower asked me to follow you, you decide for yourself. Everyone expressed their opinions. Sanyuki looked at the last person and said, there are 6 people in total, 2 against and 2 random votes. We agree to go. Now it's only you left, Ba Kang. What's your choice? The romance option is open. Option 1, go if you want to, who's afraid of who, please reply, since you want to go so much, then go. Completion reward, Huanlong's big cunt. Option 2, be patient and the wind will be calm, take a step back and the sky will be wide open, no, if you want to go, go by yourself. Completion reward, Sanyuki's white eyes. Option 3, take out a bottle of Coke and say, I'm planning to watch the show and drink here anyway. Completion reward, get a random skill. Option 4, play dumb and say, Aba. Completion reward, Sanyuki's big cunt. See option 1. Ba Kang was a little depressed. No way, Huanlong just caught me and beat me, right? Who taught her? See this big cunt. Bo Chang recalled the scene when she fought with Huanlong's incarnation before. At that time, her main target was herself, or in other words, between Danhan, Xing, and Bo Chang, she chose Crazy Ola herself. Huanlong's reason for doing this was very simple.